Ales coming right up. Hello, and welcome to the BRB. Please, have a seat. You're just in time for Tavern chatter.
With a TPK, do you feel like it is a bad thing for the players to continue playing the same characters, but move them to a different scenario? For example, they all died, and now they're all in hell. They're all in Avernus, and they all have to escape Avernus to get back to the story. Is that a bad hook? Is that worth exploring? Or should you just drop everything there, pick up new characters, and maybe even a new campaign?
That is a great hook if that's what the players want, and a terrible one if they don't. It is up to the players. This is case by case, literally.
Would you want that?
Yes, that would be hella fun.
That's a great DM decision to make in the time to continue along the story with the characters that were already pre-written, especially when it's one of those ones where you don't know if you want to end the story for those guys or if you want to move forward with some newer characters. That's amazing. And I would be more than ecstatic to hear that after a TPK, we're just moving into another story with the same characters.
So then do you feel bad about dropping that last story?
Do we know for certain that we can't work our way back to that story after this one?
It's probably unlikely, because by the time you get out of that situation, chances are time has moved on.
It's sad, but I think it's a great way to continue the story.
I feel like it depends on the situation you're dropped into afterwards. If it is a situation, like you said, where you're now in Avernus and you have to escape to return back, that sounds great. But if it's just, you were exploring this cave and you found this dragon's lair and he killed the whole party and now we're in this village. Just put into a new scenario, not really dead and now trying to get back, just that campaign's over, new plot, same characters, just start over.
So you don't think that that would be a good thing?
I don't think that would be as fun.
I'm going to sound like a broken record, but this is up to every game individually. If the players want to return back to where that is, they return, they find that time has passed, things are a little different, but they can try and pick up the pieces and move on. If they want to move to another story, it is no work at all for the DM to say, okay, what do you guys want to play next? We will, as you escape from hell, you're in this new place. Or they escape from hell, but they don't want to go back to the battlefield that they died on because fuck those guys and they don't know that they're alive. They go and do something else. These are all good options if that's what the player wants.
To simplify this question, rather than using a story element to move on to from a TPK, what are the group's thoughts on TPKs and how DMs, and specifically DMs, this is the question I'm more interested in. What are your thoughts about someone handling it with same characters or dispersing a party based on a TPK? From a DM's view, what is everyone's thought on TPKs?
As a DM's view?
Yeah, handling that situation.
I actually kind of like the idea of, you know what, the characters died, even if we do drop them into a village. I think that's fun. I think that's a neat little change. What if that village is in another realm? What if that village, who knows, and the only way to find out is to move on.
I've met players who would be excited about a TPK because that gives them a chance to play a new character. And those types of people would be in favor of TPK means end of the story. I feel like it's not cut and dry. It needs to be you walk into a cave and you get into a fight with the sword man that's sitting there because you think you can fight sword cavemen. Dying because of something stupid versus dying in the middle of the story affects how good or bad it is. I don't think you should come back from meeting some old hermit in the woods who happens to roll crit and kill you all with a gas cloud or some shit.
As someone that runs more one-shots or Call of Cthulhu, where the whole point is if someone dies, it's even funnier, zero-level campaigns are my favorite type of campaigns, where your goal as the DM is to kill off as many of them as possible until there is one character left apiece. When it comes to killing characters, I feel like if you're upfront, hey, if you die, it's going to be bad. You're going to have to pick someone new. I think if you go in with that sort of mentality up front, it's okay. You guys do love characters that have, like, giant backstories and stuff for some reason. Don't get it personally, but you guys like it.
You would prefer to, you drop the story, you pick up a new one.
Or, no, next town is, hey, those assholes died. That's still a fucking problem. Let's grab up some arms and put up some wanted posters and next party of adventurers comes by.
Beck's solution to TPKs is this is my character's brother.
The second.
The second.
Does it work? Yeah, because you get to finish your story. That's why I play one-shots and not 4-year-long campaigns.
Well, it's also a difference between 5e and playing earlier editions.
And Call of Cthulhu.
Yes.
So it sounds like the issue a lot of people are having with TPK and then continue is a seeming lack of consequences. Your decisions don't matter because if you die, you just go through hell and come back. What if there was a consequence for each time? You died, so you lose a level. Or you died, but you get to keep only one of your magic items that you had on you.
So your example is 4 TPKs continuing the story.
The TPK and continuing, because it seemed like the issue there would be the lack of consequences. So you TPK, have the consequences, and continue the story. But it incentivizes players to, let's not die again in the future or we lose shit again.
As a player, I have been part of both. I've been part of the TPK that we then dropped everything and started a new campaign. I've also been part of a TPK where we made new characters and continued the same campaign. My issue is with picking up the same campaign because with that campaign, there felt like there was a lack of continuity. There felt like that there wasn't necessarily a reason to be doing this. Sure, the world seems to be in shambles, but why do I need to do it? Whereas before, I was the one that caused it. I need to fix my own shit.
I disagree with that wholeheartedly. There doesn't have to be a sense of removal. If you are pulled away from, using my example from earlier, you're at a battlefield. This is a huge, important battle. You guys all die. You're in hell. You're fighting your way out. You come out, go back to that battlefield, the enemy won. They couldn't do it without you. And now you have to fight them out of wherever you're at, try and win back what you were trying to win before at a heavier toll. It's not that, why do we have to do this because there's tons of other people out there. It's, you died, the world happened, and now we come to this point where the world has already changed.
What I'm getting at is TPK, characters are dead, new characters. I prefer our characters then went to hell, our characters did something else, and maybe come back.
You definitely sounded like you were arguing against it. You have an issue with maintaining characters on the same campaign.
No, I have an issue with creating new characters on continuing the campaign with new characters.
I'm pretty sure you said continuing it with having TPK, then continue.
I've had a TPK where the characters died, we made new characters, and then there felt like a lack of continuity because now all of a sudden, why am I the guy that has to fix it? Somebody else fucked up.
That makes more sense. I agree with that.
Depending on how the hook is for the description of the campaign where a TPK occurred, and then the players create new characters, and then those characters then try to continue the story. If the hook is good enough, that it'd be pretty fun to try. I'd rather have just the same characters go through hell or something to try to come back to the world of the living and do that. Whereas if the characters die, probably just end the story. But the hook is the key part.
But the hook also does not have to be exclusively from the DM. All of this is assuming that the players want to continue the party, want to continue the story with their current characters. But they want to still continue the story. You tell them, I want you to create a character that has some tie to the previous party. It's their choice. All you have to do is make that be some tie, no matter what the fuck it is. They get to choose what it is, you have your hook, and it continues on. That eliminates the why does it have to be me, because they are specifically creating a character who has a reason it has to be them.
That would make sense, yes. It's still the hook part of it, whether or not it's the DM or the players deciding it. The fact that the new characters coming into the story are determined to continue the story, there still needs to be that hook, regardless of what person.
Agreed.
Do you prefer to continue with the character or continue with the story? Which one is a stronger feeling?
This question has shifted.
I don't necessarily think so, because to me, if you continue with the character, you're playing a different story. You might come back to that story later, but you are doing a different story.
How do you guys as DMs feel about TPKs and
Yeah.
story?
I prefer to change the story and keep the characters.
If I were to be a DM or be a player, I'd rather have the same characters try to fall back on that same story. I like the engagement. The characters want to finish the story. They're just now in a different environment and they have to get out of it. As a DM, that's still controllable. You're trying to get those same characters through the story. You have the structure of the whole party. You know what their drives are. You know what they need to finish the story. It's just easier that way.
I personally say that the story's better in this one. Like, I'll pick story over characters either way. Story will continue whether who's running in there or not. That's just how it goes.
I'm a big fan of my characters' stories. I would rather move forward with the player characters rather than the story.
In the event of a TPK, it's either if you have a good enough hook to continue those characters and go through hell to bring them back, go for it. Otherwise, talk to the players. If they want to run the same campaign, new characters, do that. Otherwise, it's time for a new campaign. That campaign can be used at a later point in time if you want to revisit it. And if they were really attached to those characters, they can bring them back in another campaign. But after the TPK, if there's no hook to bring them back, it's time to move on. My preference would be new campaign.
All right, it's closing time. That one was fun. Like and subscribe. Hit that bell icon to stay up to date with all the videos that we're going to bring out. If you want to see more of us, go ahead and check out the links to our social media in the description below. If you have any suggestions for our next video, please leave a comment as well. Thanks.